But
We're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live show for the group book for the past winter biannual Bibliothon, which is Otherworld by Jason Segel and Kirsten Miller. So we are going to be discussing it today, but before we jump into it, we have a few more announcements for those of you who cross over to the... Sorry, the thing just started and I heard myself speaking from the YouTube link. So for those of you who are also involved in the Biblio Book Club, if you don't know what that is, most of us, we're all in a group, a book club where we read one book every 3 months. So it's like super low commitment, and then we do a live show for it. So we are having a live show in February for our November to January book, which was Renegades by Marissa Meyer. If you haven't read it yet, you definitely still have time. It's coming this February. I don't believe we've set a date yet. No. So just to announce it, if you haven't read Renegades yet and you want to participate in the Biblio Book Club group, you should definitely read Renegades. It's so good, and I can't wait to discuss it with you guys. So continue following us on Twitter for more updates about that. And then our book for February through April.
Yep.
Yeah. February through April, our book for February through April is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. So just to mark that on your TBRs if you guys are interested in participating. But today we are talking about Otherworld. So we normally like to start these spoiler-free to just discuss our star rating and what we thought of it without delving into spoilers for those of you who may not have finished it. So if you want, we're just going to go down the line. I will say I really enjoyed Otherworld. I think I've settled on a 4-star rating for it. I really like science fiction novels that are still like set in the real world. That's something I can still relate to. And I think the concept of Otherworld and the different worlds that are within it were really interesting. I didn't love our main character, but I think the plot was really interesting and I had a fun time reading it.
So I think I gave it 4 stars because I got through it really fast. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was so fun. There were absolutely times, especially in the beginning, that I did not like the main character. But that being said, normally that's like a no-go for me. But I think the reason it didn't bother me in this is because I kind of feel like he wasn't meant to be very likable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's when characters are obviously meant to be likable and I don't like them that I have a problem disliking the main character. But if I feel like it's sort of intended for me to have a problem with them and dislike them because nobody's really supposed to like him, then it made it okay. And it was just really, really fun and adventurous. And I was very attached to even some of the minor characters.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. Like, I found it an enjoyable book, but I also found myself kind of annoyed by how easy it was to know what was gonna happen. Like, most of the time when something big happened, I was like, yeah, duh. Like, what? So that was what I found the most annoying, but I did enjoy it still. So yeah, I don't know. I go between the 3 and the 3.5.
I'm also a 4 stars. For this one, I am kind of on the fence. Like, I do agree that he's definitely not the most likable character, but I kind of appreciated that about him. He's certainly flawed. But the one thing that frustrated me the most is how he's kind of obsessed with just like saving the damsel in distress, and like she's not able to save herself sometimes, but she's pretty capable. But yeah, it was such an enjoyable book. I listened to the audiobook, which Jason Segel narrates, and that was definitely a great way to experience it. He did a really good job, I thought. And yeah, overall, really enjoyable. Loved it. Good fun.
Okay, so I'm very similar to Cassie. So I rated this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Very similar feelings to Cassie. How am I surprised? No. But I had a big thing for me was I had a really hard time separating it from Ready Player One, which is one of my favorite books, which I absolutely love. I really enjoyed this book. I loved the adventure. I thought it was a fun read and it was enjoyable. So it was like good, but I was never like, oh my God, I love this book so much. And also, like As said, with the damsel in distress thing, like it just kind of drove me a little bit nuts at times, and I just found like it was enjoyable. One thing I really liked it was how gritty and dark and odd it was at times. I actually enjoyed that. But other than that, it was good.
Well, I am pretty much similar to everybody else,
Kelly?
and I gave it a 4 out of 5 star for the most part. Everybody else, I really enjoyed it. I actually liked that we had a flawed character because I feel like you just don't get that a lot, especially with YA. And so I enjoyed that he was very impulsive and, you know, a lot of times only cared about himself because I feel like that's just how he was meant to be. He wasn't meant to be likable. And I mean, I really enjoyed the world. I thought the world was really exciting, really fun to especially listening to it. The audiobook just, I mean, was out of this world. I really enjoyed the audiobook, but I didn't really have any major problems with it. I just had to think about how do I compare this to other 5-star ratings and realized it doesn't really compare on that level to some of my favorite books, but it was still enjoyable for me.
I think this is the most unanimous we've ever been in a Bibliothon. It's usually like half of us
it, so we're already kind of ahead, right?
Yeah.
So I think for now we're gonna jump into spoilers. I think it really concludes the non-spoilery thoughts. So if you guys watching have any questions for us and you want to contribute to the discussion, you can definitely use the live chat on YouTube. You can also tweet us at Bibliothon. But for now, do you guys have any questions that like you wanted to start or any scenes that you particularly wanted to pick out?
One thing I saw in the comments that I just wanted to comment on because I'm like, I agree with it was a little bit annoying how much he focused on his Kishka. I was like, okay, we get it. You have a big nose. All right. And I guess maybe like it makes sense only in the fact that like when you have like an insecurity that's like that big, it is like even in the most inconvenient times semi-normal to even like think about it, you know, because I know like I have that something I'm like super weirded out about something about myself, like it'll pop up into my head at weird times. But in the purpose of this book, I'm like, did you have to mention it like every chapter?
He wasn't really insecure about it either. He kind of like he was proud of it.
Yeah. But going off going off on that kind of going into the grandpa part, like did you guys get an almost paranormal vibe from some of the scenes?
Really weird.
Yeah,
because
a little bit.
it felt weird to me. It was like, is it paranormal or is this what's happening? What are we doing?
Didn't fully
Stick to
understand
us
the point
genre.
of it.
Yeah, it was weird.
Of his own self, you know.
Yeah. It was
and I
just
think
odd.
it was because he felt so out of place in his family. You know, he didn't look like either of his parents. But here one day he comes across this picture of his grandpa, and you have his grandpa who not only looks like him, but also kind of like was always rebelling, making stupid decisions, something that I think Simon could really identify with. And for once he saw his place in his family. So to me, it made sense that if he was going to project in this virtual reality, that it would be the one person that's almost like a foil or even like a somewhat of a reflection of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that part. It just felt out of place in my opinion, but I get like what the goal was. It just felt weird to me.
Did any of you have like Westworld vibes? Have you seen that show?
Yes, I did have Westworld vibes. Watch it. It's good.
I had Westworld vibes. Okay, we got lots of things coming in.
Yeah, so I have one. What did everyone think? This is from Jamie Lester. What did everyone think of Otherworld being an actual reality and the children being real? I loved it because it's so different than most virtual reality worlds, and it went in a different direction I didn't expect.
I think I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I think that was the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Like special? Can't think of the word.
Unique element?
Unique, yeah, that's the word. I think that's the most unique element of this book.
Yeah, because you were saying like everything else kind of seemed predictable on what was going to happen, and that was just kind of
that was a nice little take. Yeah.
Well, I remember I like how when one of the children said, "How do you know that your world's the real world and ours isn't? You have a creator too." I thought that was just cool. I liked it.
That was exactly what I thought of when I saw this question. It was that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought it was so interesting, and especially since like there's moments where he's like trying to kill the children, and he's just like at this point where it's like a big moral dilemma. It's like, do I kill them because they they have a mind of their own. They're not just a line of code type thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really interesting, how it's actually not just like they can just waltz on through and just murder everything they see to get to their goal. It's actually like there's actual big kind of roadblocks in their path.
And also how, like, with the people using the disc, you know, like if they spent the whole book saying, like, if you die with a disc on, you die in real life. Like, now they were thinking that, like, these children were just part of Otherworld and they're in the same situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find that really interesting.
Interesting is I feel like just when it comes to sort of like virtual reality science fiction is that I've seen this new, you know how like any genre will evolve, you know, like as to how we perceive it. And I feel like it's interesting because the idea of virtual reality has been around for a while now. And so we start to see different perspectives on it. And I've noticed a trend as of recently. I don't know, do any of you guys ever watch Black Mirror? Am I the only one that's ever watched
I really want to.
So, and I just thought it was interesting how this book takes the idea of really contemplating if virtual life is also worthy of consideration. Because in Black Mirror, there's a couple of episodes in there as well that deals with the idea of virtual reality and whether or not, like, a life in virtual reality that still thinks for themselves is worthy of being consideration, or if it's something that, you know, it's like, oh, you're in a computer. So yes, even though you're experiencing real agony, how you perceive it, you can just be erased. And I just think it's interesting how, like, as a culture, we've started to take on this new perspective of virtual reality and those that exist within it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think, like, I saw someone earlier saying that they wished it was a standalone because they wanted more of an ending. And I feel like I like the change from it being just virtual reality to being an actual reality, because I feel like it expands the world more for there to be more opportunities for a sequel. Because I think it definitely is the kind of book that without that element could have been closed up, like, nice and pretty in a bow in the end.
Yeah, but I think the world is so, like, intrinsic to, like, there's so many things they can do with worlds that, like, standalone. And what was it, like 355 or something? It's kind of nice that they can expand on it for sure.
I have to say though that I felt like it ended in the middle of the book, not like it ended with a cliffhanger. Do you know what I mean? I was like, you literally didn't wrap up anything. Like, I would have preferred some things to be done and then still have an open, kind of like, for those of you who have watched or read, Renegades, it ends where there's some stuff done and obviously more to open up for this next book. And that's what I was expecting. And I finished Renegades the same day that I finished Otherworld. And so I read that, and then I read the end of Otherworld, and I was like, wow, this was in the middle of a book. What?
Yeah. It's like, even though
that's why I ended up reading it three stars, because I read Renegades then Otherworld, and you read Renegades. And we both rated it 3 stars.
Yeah.
It just did not compare.
Even though it is part of a series, each book is supposed to have its own story arc, so it did feel really incomplete. And, like, it felt like it literally cut off in the middle of a scene, and I was like, okay, like, wrap it up a little bit. Like, not everything needs to be, like, completed. Not all questions are supposed to be answered if it isn't a series, but they just needed a little more of a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah. Yes,
I definitely agree. Probably kind of wrapped it up just at least a little bit neater. But I feel like my perspective, like, differs a little bit. One, I think at this point, like, I've kind of gotten used to authors taking the approach of looking at a series as not different events in the same story. Kind of like if you've read The Wrath and the Dawn, that one almost feels like you could have put the 2 books together because one pretty much picks up where the other leaves off. And I remember thinking that when I finished The Wrath and the Dawn. And so I feel like at this point, I've almost kind of gotten used to that as far as authors taking that approach. But the other thing, too, it's like pretty much the objective from the very, very beginning was figure out what's going on with Kat and save Kat, you know, damsel in distress. You know, and even if it was kind of annoying, it's like at the end of the day, that was from the very beginning, the whole objective of the book was finding this girl. And so if you look at it from that perspective, that was wrapped up. He found her and he saved her, you know, and then kind of toward the second half to the end, you know, it starts to open up this bigger world. And I feel like they did that because they planned to delve more. They did still manage to put a hiccup in the company's like plan, because they, you know, really messed up the facility and really brought exposure to it. So in that way, like, I feel like it kind of wrapped up, but it probably could have been better executed.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that my biggest issue was that, like, they talked about how Simon, like, there's this line where he says he's gonna go get his friend, the hacker, and, like, it makes it sound like they're going to expose the stuff that they know. But the only thing that they talk about in the news is they're like watching the news, and it's that Milo is going on like a sabbatical or something. Not that the whole thing is all fucked up. And so I was like, well, could you at least have given us that? Like, with all the other open endings. I don't know. That was what I don't know. We can move on. I feel like we talked about that.
I loved Carol and I loved Busara.
Yeah.
People in the chat are saying who their favorite character is. Like, so do we want to say who are?
Carol.
Sure.
Carol.
I was just gonna say Carol. Carol, what? And how do you say? Is it George or George?
I pronounced it like Gorog.
Yeah, I did too. Gorog too.
That wasn't the audiobook.
Yeah.
Was it Gorog?
I don't know. I didn't listen far enough into the audiobook to know how he pronounces it, but I pronounced it as Gorog.
That's basically how they
I
pronounce
think it was Gorog. Yeah, I loved Carol so much. She deserves so much.
I was really upset about her. Whatever happened to her, I was not happy with that.
Yeah, I think I was one of the first people to finish it. So when everyone in like Al was chatting about it, being like, "Oh my god, I love Carol," I was just like,
yeah, it was sad. Who else?
Like, literally, I even have it marked like one of my favorite lines from her, where it's like, "Oh, you sweet little thing, you still have no idea who you're dealing with, do you?"
And she was like a soccer mom, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
I also liked Kat too. Like, I know she didn't, at least in this story, she didn't have like the most development compared to everyone else that Simon was like on the journey with. But I still liked her character a lot too.
I think I'm going to enjoy her in the next book a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Because we do get a skewed perspective of her just because it is from Simon's perspective.
Yeah.
And like so in love with Kat and thinks she's the most amazing thing ever. But we do get to see also like some of the things that she does, like just like when he discovers that she's been on this journey like a couple of days ahead of her and all that stuff, and like what I saw of her actually not just from his like rose-eyed perspective, I really liked. So I'm excited to see more of her in book 2.
Well, what I thought was cool was like the whole point was that he was going on this journey to find her and save her, and maybe physically she kind of needed saving, but like in this virtual reality, you get there, you find Kat, and you find out that she doesn't need any saving. She's like had it down the entire time. She has like she literally got everything planned out. She's methodical as anything. She saves him, and I'm like, this was great. This is how you do it. And then their dynamic at the very end with each other, like just that back and forth sarcasm, really playing off of each other. I'm like, that right there is partnership.
Yeah.
That's why I found. I think the reason that I found this book to be like kind of, even though I enjoyed it, I was like, this is annoying, because why was Simon why was he our main character? He was not relevant.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I have to say, the fact that like all throughout the novel they were like, "You're the one, Simon." I'm like, I thought we left the chosen one trope back in like 2012.
And also, if anyone is the chosen one, it's Kat. She's the one who ends up with the stepdad that's involved, and also the one who gets like forced into being a part of the thing. She figures it out without any knowledge of it, unlike Simon, who gets told about it. She's perfect. Like, she is the one. What are we talking about? Oh my god.
Simon just chose himself. Like, let's be real. He chose himself.
Yeah.
Yes, I completely agree.
But
I think they should let the next book be in Kat's perspective instead of
that would be good. I feel like I would end up being disappointed that the points of view wouldn't be different enough, though. I just feel like that would end up being a problem.
I can see what you're saying.
You guys notice, like, did Jason Segel write some of this? Like, did you notice what
I think
he wrote? Like, some lines, I was like, this sounds like it would be him.
Yeah, and
I think
like I feel like usually when celebrities have their name on books, I'm like, I feel like you probably didn't write any of this with his books, and I noticed this with Nightmares too. That I'm like, I feel like there were just parts I'm like, you definitely had a hand in this. Like I know that this is all you.
I know the first one of the first moments I realized that is when he's like in I think it's when he has a discount for the first time and he's like changing his avatar and he's like yelling out like, give me a smaller nose, give me a big penis. And I'm like, Jason Segel wrote this.
Yeah. All of the crude jokes, I was like, there he is. I found him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think the comedy in this book, like the comic relief was really good. And I think that a lot of it is Jason Segel's comedic
ability.
talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question that was kind of related to the favorite character because I think my favorite character was Gorog. I don't know how to say his name. I think it was him. But was anybody else disappointed that he didn't die? Did anyone feel like it was a cop-out?
Yeah.
I felt like it was a cop-out. Because, like,
he was so young
yeah,
as well.
like,
that was the big thing that they focused on. They were like, you're doing this on like a 13, 14-year-old kid type thing.
Yep, and then, of course, he's the one that's fine. And I was just like,
Yeah.
that was easy.
Yeah, exactly. And they obviously they don't know a lot about it, so they can't really explore that and explain why he didn't die.
Survived.
But,
So reading that scene when so Carol dies and then we get to the next town or whatever, the next realm, and I was like, okay, so Gorog's gonna die in this scene. Cool. I was just ready for it. And then right before he does, we get that dialogue where we find out he's young, and I was like, oh, now we're gonna make it emotional. Thanks for that. And so I that was the most emotional part for me, although I was disappointed by how he died in the virtual reality world. I felt it happened way too fast. It was just like suddenly boom, and they like didn't give you a moment to like grieve for him, and I felt like they really gave us a lot for Gorog because he was like a lot of the comedic relief throughout the first part of the story. We find out he's really young, and then he just dies really quick, and they go right into the real world. And I was just like, whoa, wait, what? And then immediately after that, you find out he survived. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm glad you didn't make me sob over this character because he's not even dead. So, I don't know. I was annoyed by that scene. I think that's part of why I gave
I do kind of agree with that to an extent, although I didn't have a problem with him necessarily being chosen as the one who survived, because I knew that at some point somebody was going to have to be it. So it's sort of like, why not him? It could be anybody. I don't really care who it is. It's got to be started anyway. But I almost feel like it could have been a little bit more of a powerful reveal if, like you said, they gave you that time to grieve and they really gave you a moment to really believe that he was dead. That I think the revelation that he actually survived would have been way more powerful.
Yeah. Like I mean, I would have been angry because I would have cried for no reason, but also it would have been more like
target your emotions,
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Someone said, "Oh yeah, Elvis." Is anyone really curious about Elvis? Proud Bookline.
Oh my God, I want to know so much more about him.
Yeah.
I hope.
Is that the hacker?
Yeah, I hope he becomes he plays a bigger role in the next book, because I think that what is he, like this Ukrainian hacker?
Yeah.
Like that is such a fascinating character to have in a book like this, and like I hope because they're going to meet him at the end of it, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how they end it, which makes me think he's going to be a big part in the next
I hope so. I'd be so excited.
I have a really weird comment to make about a really minor character. Although I believe that, overall is pretty typical of not all YA, but a lot of YA, that there seems to be somewhat limited character development just as a general rule for the genre most of the time. But there was one thing that it's such a stupid detail to appreciate, but it was the part where he's describing his perspective of Kat's mom. She's this mom that smokes too much, drinks too much, and yet, remembers to get his Flaming Hot Cheetos and is the mom that he always wanted. And I kind of loved that, only because I feel like usually parents in YA novels are painted as, you know, this perfect parent who's super loving and sweet and, you know, is completely, you know, just whatever, or, you know, their parent is completely awful and there's nothing redeemable. And to me, this is like one of the first times that you have a real parent, because all parents, for the most part, they have like the ups and downs like any other people. And this is the first time I've ever really seen that portrayed in a parent of a character, because yes, she drinks too much, as a lot of people's parents do. She smokes too much, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, but she's also can be a good mom too, even though she has her vices.
But I have a question about her too. Did anybody else find it kind of annoying that we never really found out what, like, I don't believe that she just admitted herself into a mental hospital.
No way.
And so I want to know what happened with that.
Yeah, the stepdad for sure had a heavy hand with that, but I want to know like how it all went down.
Kat didn't even ask about her mom. Like, why didn't Kat ask about her mom? Like, I would have been like, where the fuck's my mom?
I guess maybe we'll find out in the next book. But
Like, she knew how awful her stepdad was, so she knew that her mom wouldn't have been like in a good situation. Like,
Maybe her mom is also in the game.
oh, that would be interesting.
Oh yeah, but I also feel like the next book needs to be like 500 pages.
yeah, it's so much.
To fully explain it all, unless there's going to be like 3 books or something.
Right. Yeah.
Do we know if it's meant to be like a trilogy or if it's just meant to be a for now it's just a sequel?
I feel like it feels like a duology, but
yeah, I feel like they could probably wrap it up in a second book, but I guess it just depends on how it's written, I guess.
So the second book is called Other Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, in fall. Yeah,
I just saw
it doesn't say.
I've seen a couple of articles calling it a trilogy.
Oh, I feel like I could see it being a trilogy. I don't think I could see it being longer than a trilogy.
I see a couple people clarifying, you know, that the stepdad put her in, and I think like pretty much everybody agrees that she didn't actually commit herself. I think
I want to know what actually happened.
Yeah, I think what we're getting at is not, you know, because I think if she was in an institution, I think everybody pretty much agrees that the stepdad would have done it. I think it's more of what we were saying is we don't necessarily believe she's in an institution. You know, we think that something happened to her, and that's like what he said. Or where
and even if she is, she's not the one that did it herself.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But I think it was more about the specific place of her whereabouts as opposed to, you know, her involvement in it.
I totally agree with that.
Just to clarify that, because I saw the comments.
Yeah.
That's the scene that made me so mad. I had to stop, and I almost threw the book out the window, and I had to stop and take a shower to calm down. I was like, I'm done with this.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
I was so angry.
Let's see what other questions.
What would your avatars look like? Proud bookline.
Ooh, I like that question.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like getting flashbacks to RuneScape when we're talking about avatars.
Oh my god, I was obsessed with that for a long time. I paid the monthly fee as well. I became like one of the
I would do anything to get RuneScape back. That's like what I think of when I read books like Otherworld and stuff. I'm like,
what is RuneScape?
Oh my goodness, Brittany, you missed out.
I don't either know. I don't know either.
My life.
Like a game of a generation, you know?
Yeah. I was obsessed.
That was
it's an
like
RPG game that
you
like play it online. You like go on quests. You fight like dragons and other players and whatnot. It was like this huge world, and it was literally like everything I got up in the morning for RuneScape.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were playing RuneScape, I was playing Neopets.
I'm
like
when
had Neopets. I love Neopets.
When the Ready Player One like trailer came out, like, because in my head when I was reading Ready Player One, I was like, the world reminded me a lot of RuneScape. That's what I was thinking of. Like super high tech things. So I was like, no, it's a fantasy quest.
I like, honestly, when I picture my avatar, I like think of the new Jumanji with the girl that does like dance fighting and shit. Like, honestly, I think it'd be like a blonde version of her. Let's be real. That's probably what would.
Yeah.
I
I don't know what mine would be. I'd probably pick like a weird color for my skin. Like blue or something. I don't know.
You'd be like the girl off of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes. Yeah. Like one of the sisters. I like the blue girl a lot. The one with no hair.
Oh my god, that would be beautiful.
Which is the same girl in Jumanji.
Is it?
It
Haven't
is.
seen it. I refuse to go see the movie.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's so fun.
I'm too attached to Robin Williams.
I think my avatar would literally look identical.
Oh, we cut you out, Emma.
I was scared. I was
missed
like,
it.
oh my god, it wasn't me.
She's frozen.
Oh no.
Does anyone else have an idea what their avatar would look like?
Like,
think-
mine would definitely have red or purple
Yeah,
hair.
you did.
Yeah,
It was blonde hair with a big bun on top, and I had all rune armor,
yeah.
which is like a blue metal, that had a gold trimming on it because I was a bad
Yeah.
bitch. That's exactly what I think of if I think of like my avatar in anything.
That's
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I feel
Cassie have purple and pink hair for sure. For sure.
I feel like maybe I might do something like maybe Lisbeth Salander inspired and then add something a little more like fantastical to her, you know, like Lisbeth Salander, because she's such a badass. And I feel like she
I
doesn't
love her.
really like, and the thing is, she's never like intimidated by anything. So I feel like she's got that perfect attitude for kind of inspiring that. So I feel like I'd want to channel like my inner Lisbeth Salander, but then maybe do something like what you said and, you know, give her a different like skin color or something and make her purple or whatever, you know.
She's so hot. I'm just thinking of the movie version, but she's really hot.
Oh my God.
Rooney Mara.
You know, it'd be a really great Avatar character would be Kevin Hart from Jumanji.
Yes. I'd want that as my sidekick, my little friend, to come with me and make me laugh all the time.
Comical relief.
So good. I had something else I wanted to mention about this book, but I can't remember. I really like I didn't expect it to be so like dark and odd and weird.
Yeah.
I didn't like the cities. Like I love the different cities that they had or whatever they're called. And they
Realms.
had an elemental leader. And,
Well, and the children were so creepy sounding. Like just the idea of these children running around that are kind of just
They're like
morphed
demigods.
and created, and it sounds creepy for sure.
I like that creepy aspect. It completely took me by surprise. Like I thought it was gonna, I don't know. I just imagine like it really weird, like a weird, like the color I kept picturing was like, you know, black and white films, but they're not black and white. It's like, oh, it's sepia.
Yes.
That makes sense. Like I just had like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Can we
I
just
agree.
talk about how literally one of the guests, you know, that had the, what did they call it, the patch or whatever it is that, you know, they put on their head. So one of those guests, right, literally developed a taste for human flesh in this game.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, what are you going to do if they save you? Are you going to keep eating people in real life? Like, like that part, I think I marked that
It's
on
like
there.
it's creating serial killers in real life, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
It's really weird.
where the lines between reality and virtual reality was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts.
Do you guys feel like you will, like looking at it now, like do you think like 100%, yeah, I'm reading the second book?
Oh, definitely. For sure.
Yeah.
I think I definitely listened to the audiobook.
I don't know if I'd pick it up.
I don't either. I would pick it up. Me and Brittany, twins.
I
Like,
think it's also hard too, like when you go from one book that you absolutely loved, right? And then any book, if it doesn't surpass that, is always going to seem like a little bit less. So I wonder if you guys would have felt differently had you not read a book that you loved so much right before. You
yeah,
know,
I mean, like, and I was reading them at the same time because I was listening to Renegades and then reading Otherworld, and just like, you can't help but compare. I also found that like reading Otherworld, I really like Ready Player One, and I was the thing that I liked the most about Otherworld is the things that were different from Ready Player One, in the sense of like it's not set in the future; it's set like basically right now, and like the way that Otherworld is X, you know, the children and stuff like that. I loved all of that, but I also found myself just going like, man, Ready Player One had so many surprise twists, and none of them I saw coming. And this one, like, every single time they tried to just do a twist, I was like, That's not surprising to me. Like, I knew that Kat's dad was gonna have a part in this. Like, did I like call exactly what was gonna happen? No, obviously. But like, the second that we start getting a little bit of information, I was like, oh, so like obviously he's involved. And like when we meet the supposedly the elemental of the last realm, but then it turns out to be someone from
Morton or Moral.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. Oh, not that one.
No, you're talking about the other dude.
You're talking about-
Yeah, that one. Like,
Right.
I had a feeling immediately that he is a person who's involved in the company. Like, I didn't know exactly who he was gonna be, but I was like, nah, he's involved. He's real.
Oh yeah.
So like, I don't know. I was just disappointed.
So who was was it Todd and his friend? Like, I don't.
Martin.
Yeah, it was both.
I was like, who is that? Like, do they know each other in person? Like, I'm like, I don't remember.
It's the two guys that Simon meets when Kat gets the patch thing in the first place. There's two guys from the company that come. It's those two guys who take turns.
I was trying to connect them. Like, I know they're in this book, and I can't remember who they were. And then we saw, like, that other guy, her friend, that was told to go to the house, and then it just like blew up. What was his name?
Marla.
Yeah.
Yes, Marlo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What was that scene in the gym? That scene was so weird. I mean,
he was working out, but it wasn't him. It was like
It was a hologram.
Yeah.
No, like when they both are at the gym after Simon pees himself for the first time and he runs away from home because his mom rips the patch off. He runs to the gym, or not the gym, to the club, the country club.
Oh,
And then Marlo is in the locker room at the same time, and there's just like that short scene between them, and I was like, what's happening? This is weird. But
Because I think Marlo was like putting on an act that, like, because he moved into town. And so he was like, oh, so he is this rich kid, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. That was, I guess, the most twisty part that I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
Thing for me too is that I agree that there was pretty much nothing that you couldn't really see coming. Like, I 100% agree with that. I just feel like I feel differently about it, but I think that's only because pretty much my entire life, it's very, very, very rare in movies, books, anything that I don't guess what's going to happen. Like, almost every single time, even if I'm just joking about it, like 99% of the time that I'm right. So for me, I realized that if I were to like dislike something every time something happened exactly as I guessed, then I would never enjoy anything ever. So for me, like, I've kind of adjusted, and I know that even if I'm able to predict it, I'm still able to enjoy seeing how things unravel regardless, you know? Like, We Were Liars, I completely predicted that ending. I think I
didn't. I did not
totally
see
did,
that
but it,
at
like,
all.
in no way for me, and it in no way like lessened the ending for me, even though like I guessed it like right off the bat.
See, I'm so gullible. I like never see twists coming.
I never.
So
really
when I see them all
either.
coming, I'm just like, well, that's annoying. So
I don't really care though. Like, I'm the kind of person who will spoil myself on stuff, and it doesn't bother me. I just enjoy it to enjoy it.
Do not spoil me.
Yeah,
I feel you, Kelly.
But the thing is, like, I enjoyed this book. Like, I thought it was a good book. I just thought it was good. Like, there was nothing like so like I didn't feel it was like special. Like, I don't want it to sound like we hated the book.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree.
It was good.
It was good. Which
Like,
is why, like, go ahead.
Even when I was doing my vlogs, like, every time I was like updating, I'm like, so it's still just good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's good, it's fine. But that's why I like when asking if we'll read the sequel, like, I'm just like, will I waste my time to read the sequel of just a good book? Like, I have so many books that I really, really want to read. Is this one that I want to take the time to read? I don't know.
You can always like wait too and see, like, have some of us read it, and then if we're like, dude, Cassie, pick it up, it's really worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I hear an echo. Does anyone else hear an echo?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe it's
So random.
It happens every live show.
Is it gone?
Ooh, that got worse.
That went bad.
I mean,
Now it's better.
oh, did it go away?
Yeah.
Yes.
For now.
Okay, so maybe it was Katrina that time because she put hers in.
I do have a comment just kind of in response to some stuff I'm seeing in the chat. I've noticed several people talking about.
Oh, it's for sure Katrina.
I can't hear anything when I put the headphones in.
Oh no.
It's not working.
Oh wait. No, it's still doing.
It's me and Kaz. Oh my god, I can hear my
I can't hear
echo.
anything.
Oh man.
Oh wait, no. I had it set that when I put headphones in, it was on mute. Never mind.
Okay.
Just that I noted, this is just something that like I feel like is definitely personal taste. Because I noticed some people saying how they didn't like the language or like the crudeness in the book, or even how YA has started incorporating more of that. And I totally like respect that. I just feel like I'm such a crude person in general, and I like swear all the time. So this stuff, I'm like, heck yeah, look at that. That is real life right there. I love it. And I totally see how it would bother other people. I'm just like one of those like open, blunt, crude people in general. So for me, I loved it.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was that like, I mean, we started talking about it in this live show about how he makes a joke about the penis, but the size. But like, I didn't even notice that like, oh, this is a YA book. Oh, because that's how I act and react in real life.
Yeah.
Same.
So for me, I'm just like, this is what I'm used to in my daily life. So reading about it, I'm like, yeah. And everybody in high school at that age definitely talk like that.
And middle school,
I was certainly more crude back then.
Oh,
To offer a different perspective to it is I'm not a crude person at all. I never cuss or anything, but I don't mind it, I guess, in the book because it's just kind of, I feel like you're getting to know the character more and how they would react in real life. And so I feel like it helps me be more immersed in the books whenever they have a certain personality or act a certain way.
Right.
So,
yeah.
but I'm not like that at all in real life. And it didn't bother me that much.
Right.
I don't know if it's like a taste thing or if it's like, because sometimes, you know, being an English major, it's kind of hard to separate what's like just normal taste stuff or if it's the fact that I'm an English major that makes me think like this. But I don't always like books that have like these squeaky clean versions of characters that are supposed to reflect real people. Like I am much more inclined to appreciate a character even if it's in the messy, dirtiest, crudest way, if it more accurately reflects what I know to be in real life, I am more likely to appreciate the writing of that character because that's not this cleaned up version of real life. It's real life.
Right. Exactly.
As a substitute teacher, I know that those middle schoolers and high schoolers are disgusting. The other day I ended up having to like yell really loud because there was another kid who was yelling and I was like, why are you yelling in class? Now I'm yelling. And then another kid was like, that's yelling. And I was like, yeah, do I need to get any louder? And then they were like, you know what that means. And they started making a joke about how I screamed during sex. And I was like, oh my God, stop. That was graders. So I was just like,
That sounds horrible.
Is every character in this book wear chinos? Are there no other pants in this?
I noticed that too.
Nobody wears shorts. It's always chinos. Like, why is everybody wearing chinos? Like, I know we have designer jeans for rich people. They are not all in chinos in real life just because you have money.
So funny.
Yeah.
oh man. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't either.
Like I didn't either.
I didn't either. That's hilarious.
Just like I've literally never seen this word really used in books before, and here it's been used like at least 8 times.
Maybe it's Jason Siegel's favorite brand.
It's like maybe he wears chinos all the time. It's like a local cultural thing where he grew up. I don't know.
All right.
Just thought that was a fancy word for pants, and he just wanted to keep using.
I love how somebody just said Simon wears jeans or nothing at all.
That's very true. Let's see.
Well, we know what he does in those jeans.
Yeah.
Urinate.
Do we have any other questions, or does anyone have any final thoughts? Or
I can add a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Would you ever want to play a video game where the virtual reality was that good? Like you could smell things, feel things, hear things, all that
No.
stuff.
I think that would freak me out. I would get sucked into a black hole and I would never leave.
Yeah, I think that would be
Like,
my problem is I would never want to be in the real world. depending on what the world is you're going to.
Listen, technology scares the shit out of me. Like
Yeah,
the fact that we can print organs, I'm like, this is where I want to get off. I don't want to see the world progress past this point. It's so terrifying to me.
I was
would
watching
never.
a video. Yeah, I was watching a video for one of the classes that I was subbing for, and they were talking about robotics and how they've created these drones that in groups of like 8 drones, not one computer is telling each drone to go to places, but they've put in a computer system where they just react to each other. So they basically like tell these 8 drones, get in a circle, and then by knowing where the other drones are, they can get into a circle and do different like dances, or eventually they want them to like build stuff. And I was like, no. We've hit the road. This is too much AI. I'm done. We're all going to die in a minute.
Yeah,
it's so scary.
Scares the crap out of me. I hate it so much.
I don't know
So
if any
that's out there in the world.
seen like well, the one I always think of is Repo the Genetic Opera, which I don't know if anybody has ever seen, but they also have that movie Repo Men, which covers the exact same topic. And it's this whole idea that you can like sort of capitalize on organs, and if people don't make their payments on their organs, then the repo men literally come and reclaim their organs. Like
I've heard of that one. Which one is that one?
It's like literally the most terrifying. It was literally the most terrifying kind of society. And so when I hear about like being able to print organs, and I'm like, yes, part of me is like save lives, but then the other part of me is like, what are we gonna do about that to really, really screw shit up?
Yeah.
It sounds terrifying. Somebody asked us if you could punch. Oh, it's fandom and books. If you could punch one of the characters, which one would you choose and why?
Wayne.
Simon, get off your high horse. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Wayne.
yes,
Yes.
Simon. I would choose Simon.
I want to choose Simon, but I really hated Wayne. So
Same. See, I'd probably pick Wayne
I
too.
forgot about him.
I would want to throw him into the game and make him have to duel or something. And that.
Oh yes! Oh my god!
Like he was literally like they did a great job of making him a villain because they literally make you hate him.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a different one too. Is the girl Gina? She was annoying.
Was that the popular girl?
Oh, yeah.
And then the
That
hacker,
was the girl at the Mammoth, right? Or
the hacker Elvis guy shut down all of Florida.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Like you
then
literally just got told that by doing this and selling people, you were literally going to be killing people in real life, and you're still doing it.
Didn't care. Yeah.
he's like, I don't care. And then he shut the whole. Do you remember this, Cassie? You're giving a face.
Nope, I don't.
They shut down Florida.
Because the first realm, I think I remember the realm's called.
It was the rich one, Manon.
The first one.
Yeah, Manon
Okay.
or something like that.
They're gonna get kidnapped by this woman, and then like all of her PCs as soldiers, and then they shut down her power in her her area.
Yeah, she was going to kill them
remember
and
that.
then what, like eat them or something.
Or like sell them to the guy that
Sell
is
them
a
to
cannibal.
somebody who eats. Yeah.
Right.
I
yeah,
do
I could
remember
punch
that.
her.
Yeah, it would deserve. See, for Wayne, I don't think a punch is worth it, so I don't want to just waste a punch on him. Like, give me a gun.
You need to
I'll
rip
do
him
that.
Yeah, I feel like he's definitely like an Umbridge character where like everyone unanimously hates him.
Nothing redeemable whatsoever.
If you had to live in one of the realms, which one would you pick?
Oh, can we list them off as a reminder? I've read so many books since I read others.
So I think it was
I can't remember
Mammoth
the names,
first
but-
one. Everglades was one.
In the White City.
A lot of them are
White City. I like the White City because it's safe.
Yeah, I'm about to say that one.
Yeah, because there was that one. There was Imra, which was like the Sodom of the video game, and then there was
The fighting one, the rage or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that one.
No.
I
Oh yeah,
would
there was
probably-
that girl with the fight. Yeah.
and I guess
There-
you
so
can
there
kinda
was-
count the capital list sort
Yeah.
I would not live in a realm. I would live on the outskirts somewhere away from
White
Ooh,
City.
that's I just wouldn't want to be in the game. Like, can
Yeah.
I pick the real world? All of them are too intense for me.
dude.
I guess the White City then. Although I would probably be really bored because
Oh,
no
yeah.
one lives there.
Irma.
Imra.
Yeah.
I am
Imra.
Imra or Imra was which one was that one again?
That was like
That
where
was
everybody
where
first
everybody's,
gets
like-
into the game, where they
where you
spawn.
get addicted to eating
Right.
and stuff.
And I have
Oh, I guess I would do that one. You can eat all you want, not gain any weight.
Yeah. And get massages.
Yes. Okay, I picked that one. That's the one.
But you can only feel it. You can only feel it if you taste. If you have the disc. So if you start.
Yeah,
Well,
and then if you had the disc, you would never want to leave, so you would die because you wouldn't be able to stop eating.
Right.
And I feel like
but
I
you would be like,
I feel like
you
it'd
would
be
be
down to
taken
play
care
the
of.
virtual reality game as the game, you know, where you can only like see.
Yeah, where you can get
Yeah.
out.
Kind of like down for because that's like, you know, it's really like playing video games, just, you know, a little bit more immersed. But I would
That's what I
never
agree.
do this.
I mean, have y'all ever played a VR game before?
No.
It is.
I'm too
so
scared of it.
scary. I played a horror
No.
game in VR, and
No
it's
thanks.
terrifying.
The only one I would want
Guys,
to try is the Stranger
no.
Dreams one, but I'd be so freaked out by that.
I can't even handle the idea of doing one of those what are they called? Escape rooms in real life? Like no, I'm not doing one of those. Like no.
I've done the
No.
roller coaster one in virtual reality, and that's real fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I have done one of those like when you go to the VidCon and they have like the thing and you like go on a roller coaster,
Like
but
a
it's
simulator.
just you're sitting in.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
it's a simulator.
simulator.
I've done that, but I've never played VR like with the
The
phone
virtual reality
thing.
one's fun.
Yeah.
Or I like the Star Wars one, you know, where it's got like the big screen and you feel like you're in the ship and you're like, looks like you're falling. You know what I'm talking about? At Disneyland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one I liked. But a good question on here is that, so we all decided pretty much that Otherworld is off our list. So what video game would you be willing to do virtual reality in?
Oh, easy. You know the Harry Potter PlayStation games? I would be all over that.
I don't play
None.
video games, so I have no
I don't
idea. So I'll
either.
choose the one Kelly picked.
I want to do Kingdom Hearts. I think I would pick Kingdom Hearts.
Oh God, that would
yeah.
be so hard.
I'm not big on
Kingdom Hearts, and I would love to be able to visit all the different Disney worlds.
Oh my God, so hard. I think I would probably pick, like, can we do a virtual reality Pokemon Go? But, like, that's already pretty much in real life. Like, just
Yeah,
something
that's all
easy. It's fine. Like, everything's fine.
I like
But then,
it.
like, you could see the actual animal come up or something. That'd be cool.
Mhm.
But I
I
didn't even play Pokemon Go. I never even played it. So
Me either.
I've always loved I don't play video games often, but Doug and I once spent like 6 hours playing this video game called Life is Strange, and it was so much fun. And I'm like, I feel like I would have a good time playing in that game. It's like you can like go back in time if you mess up, but like each time you go back in time and each time you like make a choice, like there's consequences and stuff. It's a really fun, like I think it's an indie game. It's a lot of fun though.
My brother, like, literally just today downloaded this stupid ass video game about where literally the entire point of the game is to construct and hurl insults, right? As like literally the stupidest game.
That's so weird.
This game, you're literally like just a gentleman. You're like Sir Knight or something, and you know you play against like Lord Shuffleboard or something like that. And you literally just construct insults and hurl them, and like however good your insult is like the amount of points that you get. I'm like, I could maybe get on board, like putting myself in a virtual reality where I'm literally just allowed to insult people.
Oh, so I could see you doing that, Red.
We played this game.
Don't say
recently, but it's not like a virtual reality game. But I'm trying to remember what it was called. But like you can buy it for like $6, and then you just need like a Roku or a PlayStation or something to buy it on, and you play on your phone, and then it goes up on the screen, and so you pick like a genre or whatever, and then you have to make up a lie that goes with the historical truth that's on the thing. So like one of them was like, in whatever year Lincoln did this weird thing, and you have to put in what the weird thing was when he went to go to the something. So you make up this lie that is realistic enough where people will choose it, but there's also a truth up on the board too once all the lies get chosen, and then you pick which one you think is true, and then you get points if the other people around you pick your lie thinking it's true, and you get a lot of points if you actually figure out the
I
truth.
played that before, yeah.
Oh, it was so fun.
Sounds so interesting.
Can
I'm
I
gonna have to.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just had like a question that's kind of an amendment on this last one, but you can finish up what you're saying.
Oh, I was just gonna say I will find out what it's called so that you guys can.
So if you could, this is just my own question. So say you could do virtual reality, but it's not for a video game. You get to choose a book, but you cannot choose Harry Potter. What book would you choose?
The Moral Instruments.
The
cheater.
Dreamer.
Wait, repeat the question.
So if you could do virtual reality, and instead of choosing a video game, you choose a book to do the virtual reality in, but it cannot be Harry Potter.
Well, thanks for
Court of Thorns and Roses.
Oh, that would be a fun one.
Throne of Glass, is that crazy?
Yes.
You die.
No.
maybe like every harder doorway because you can go to whatever world fits you the
That's
best.
such a good one.
That would be a good idea. Yeah.
I'm definitely almost kind of on board with Katrina and maybe thinking Strange the Dreamer and going to the city Weep, because
Yeah.
that would be wonderful.
And like, worst case scenario, if I don't make it there, then I can just be in the library all my life.
Right? And the library sounds awesome.
Yes.
Although we're
Or we could hang out at the Citadel. Like, could we just hang out at the Citadel? Because the Citadel seemed pretty cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I read so much fantasy that's hard because,
Not
There's
all
also-
of it's very safe.
like, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
like
uh,
the Iron King, like in the Never Never for a little bit.
okay,
Like,
that would be really
it'd
cool.
be scary, but like there's safe zones too
mhm.
that you can get to go in and be really whimsical, or yeah.
All right. Do we have any like last minute questions? I feel like we're reaching the end of the live show discussion. Or any final comments from you guys?
Not for me.
I'm excited for a live show for Renegades.
Yes.
I'm so pumped for our live show for Renegades. So definitely follow us on Twitter at the Bibliothon, because we will be announcing it there. And we also will be talking more about The Woman in the Window on our Twitter as well, because that's the next read for the next handful of months. But I think we're ready to close this one out. But thank you guys so much for watching. I had the best time discussing this with all of you ladies and with everyone in the chat. And thank you guys for participating in the Winter Bino Bibliothon. We always have so much fun every single round, and I already cannot wait for the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for it.
So
I
excited.
feel like definitely like a renewed energy for the Bibliothon. Like,
Yes,
for
sure.
From
Like, I
all of
feel
us.
Yeah.
way remotivated almost, you know?
Mhm.
I totally feel the
I agree.
same.
Yeah.
So
All right.
definitely we'll chat with you guys on Twitter later, but thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.